was a time when John Okafor's brilliant acting made so many people laugh. But you probably don't know him by that name. To most of us, the name Mr. Ibu sounds much more familiar. He was already cracking people up long before online skit makers or stand-up comedians were a thing. In essence, he was one of the pioneers of Nollywood comedy. However, a couple of months back, he was hospitalized, and his leg was subsequently amputated. But it wasn't the fact that he was amputated that left people surprised. Rather, it was how it was done. His family had to ask for help on social media to pay his medical bills. That makes us wonder what happened to one of Nollywood's finest. John Okafor was born in Nkanu West local government area of Enugu State. He spent most of his childhood there. He would only move to join his brother in Sapele after his father's death when he was just 13 years old. With his father gone, he had to do a lot of menial jobs just to sponsor himself through school. On one occasion, he had to drop out of school due to financial issues. He eventually attended the Institute of Management and Technology in Enugu. After his schooling, he did anything possible to make ends meet, from teaching karate at schools to selling shoes and medical equipment. He did anything to make ends meet. While this was going on, there was not one single hint that he was going to venture into acting. His acting career kicked off when he was cast in 3 soap operas while working with the Anambra Broadcasting Service. But it was when he started working as a production assistant that producers began to recognize this man's talent for cracking people up. And in 2004, he starred as Mr. Ibu in what would become one of the best comedy films in Nollywood. This was the beginning of Mr. Ibu's rise. Soon enough, he appeared in other comedy movies alongside A-list actors, including the famous comedy duo Aki and Paw Paw.
Are you single or married?
The two of them. I'm single and double.
How?
Before I was married, now I'm single, so I'm using the two of them.
At his peak, he had earned a huge name in Nollywood, and people rumored his worth to be around $4.2 million. But then his downfall came, starting with the kidnapping of his wife and son in 2011. The kidnappers asked him to pay a ransom of 6 million naira, which he found difficult to raise. But in the end, he was able to raise money with the help of his friends. Now, while 6 million naira might seem like a large sum, it shouldn't be too difficult for Mr. Ibu. I mean, the guy is one of the biggest actors in Nollywood. Well, if you think about it, it would seem like Mr. Ibu already had financial issues that nobody knew about. However, just a year after his wife and son were released, his son died in the hospital. He had previously been diagnosed with inflammation of the liver. This was a huge blow to Mr. Ibu, and years later he described that his son's death was in part due to the negligence of the hospital and that he was affected. In another interview in 2017, Mr. Ibu alleged that he had been kidnapped and poisoned twice, and one of the kidnappings happened in his hometown.
Look me finish and shocking some poison into my mouth. With my boys and my dancers, they came and picked me up. If not for God Almighty, I would have been a story.
He claimed that one of the attacks was by his village people, and it's not hard to see why he thought that. With time, Mr. Ibu put all these behind him. He focused on his acting career and his family, but his relationship with his wife would soon turn sour.
Don't let me get angry with you. Do you hear me? Huh? Tell me what I want to hear right now. Tell me what I want to hear right now.
This happened after his adopted daughter, Jasmine, came into the picture. While Jasmine and Mr. Ibu portrayed a father-daughter relationship on social media, his wife came out to describe their relationship as more of a sexual one. And it makes sense, because who adopts a grown-up and why even adopt her? The relationship seems suspicious because of his wife's comments. Yet she also shares his last name, which lends some truth to her being his adopted daughter. Either way, Mr. Ibu soon had some serious health issues to deal with. Around July 2020, he suddenly started developing a protruding belly, and this continued for a while. Naturally, you'd expect these symptoms to be from a medical condition. But according to him, the cause was simple, but shocking.
Even here in my office, they brought the first poison here, I took it. I was falling around here vomiting. Nobody came to ask. Even the workers did not enter here, even though they were hearing me fall around. They pay them, give them enough money to make sure they eliminate me. All these plans are from Enugu, There are some people in my town people that
Well, according to Mr. Ibu, they were sent by his village people. And this isn't the first time he'll be referring to these village people. So while his story may seem unclear, there may indeed be some truth to it. Anyway, 2020 was the time when everyone was indoors. Even the most sociable had to remain indoors for fear of an unseen enemy. It was also when Mr. Ibu decided to venture into music, releasing 2 songs in October. But unlike acting, music wasn't really his thing. His songs didn't get quite the attention that his movies usually attracted. At this point, Mr. Ibu didn't command the kind of influence he once had in Nollywood. The type of comedy movies he acted in became less popular. People generally shifted to comedy like Funky Akindale's Jennifer. Besides, people found it easier to just log on to one social media platform. They could watch a skit or two and get that much needed laughter. Skits were everywhere, and this meant that movies of the sort that Mr. Ibu acted in the early 2000s were no longer popular. But the worst was to come. Around August 2023, his health worsened considerably, and he was admitted to a hospital in Abuja on account of chronic kidney problems that he had managed in the past. Apparently, the issues with his kidney was the primary reason for the swelling of his stomach. Things weren't looking good for him. However, his fans and other Nollywood personalities offered words of encouragement on social media to support him and help him through the period of difficulty. He recovered soon enough, but things just weren't the same for him again. All the health issues he was facing, coupled with his reduced involvement in movies, took a toll on his finances. After his discharge, Mr. Ibu became more active on social media with regular posts and sometimes skits. It seemed like everything was fine until he was hospitalized again in mid-October. This came just weeks after his recent discharge, and this time it was more serious. He took to social media to share his plight with people. In the video, his daughter also lamented that the compounding medical bills had finally taken their toll on him and the family. Going on, Mr. Ibu needed help to be able to afford treatment. This video was a sad one, reflecting just how bad things had become for him.
Medical director of this hospital said the best solution is, in case his new idea didn't work, the best idea is to cut off my leg. Just see me. If they cut off my leg, where will I go to?
His video went viral and brought reactions from various people. Kate Henshaw visited him in the hospital while people continued to pour out their sympathy for him online. But as we know, when it comes to things like this, there is bound to be some sort of controversy. Weeks after Mr. Ibu released the video, his wife took to social media. She complained that people hadn't responded to her husband's call for help. This included the Actors Guild of Nigeria, the professional body for actors in Nigeria. She came under fire for her claims. Many accused her of focusing too much on money instead of caring for her husband. About 2 weeks later, his leg was amputated after 7 surgeries, as the doctors deemed it necessary to keep him alive. Mr. Ibu would have to accept his new reality, one with an amputated leg. While all this was going on, some back and forth ensued between his wife and his supposed adopted daughter, Jasmine. The duo took to social media several times to level accusations against each other, mostly around Mr. Ibu's condition. At one point, Jasmine accused Stella Maris of taking over money people donated for his sickness. Then, Stella accused her of controlling Mr. Ibu's money, and of course we don't know who's right here. It could be both of them, either of them, or the accusations could be entirely false. At the end of the day, Mr. Ibu has gone through a lot. He's had to deal with several hospitalizations and the financial drain that comes with it. His health hasn't improved despite all the money spent. He's even had to deal with some sort of public embarrassment. We can only hope that he recovers fully from his illness and gets back to putting a smile on our faces.